So this is Baruch Fleischman. I'm at the Tikkun elevator called I am the lift manager here. Get on that elevator, rise to the heaven and eternity beyond. So what's going on over here is I'm going to start, hopefully in about 5 minutes, a shiur with a new Chavruta. His name is Moshey, and he wants to learn the Otzrot Chaim. So the Otzrot Chaim, people write and they say, I hear what you're saying. There's something really here that I'd like to learn more about, but how do I learn it? And this is what the Otzrot Chaim is about. The Otzrot Chaim is written by the Rav, who is known as the ARI, Rabbi Yitzchak LURIA Ashkenazi. He was an Ashkenaz, but he lived and spoke Ladino. He lived in the Spanish world, the world of the exiles who had just gotten out of Spain. Anyway, it's a whole story. We'll get into that. But the very most, we use the most used part of the writings of the ARI, as dictated to Rabbi Chaim Vital, are contained in this set called the Otzrot Chaim. The Otzrot Chaim is divided into 3 parts. No, excuse me, I said it's the Eitz Chaim itself, which is the masterwork of the ARI, is divided into 3 parts. They're called the Medura Kama, the Medura Tinyana, and the Medura Basra. So all of these are different tomes or volumes, I think that's the word I want to use, of volumes of tremendous, tremendous depth that really look at the same subject in different ways. But the most complete one of them is the Medura Tinyana, the middle one. We deal with middles a lot in Kabbalah at any rate. And this is called also by the name of the Otzrot Chaim, and that's what we're learning. So we have right now, it's 3 minutes to count down. I'm going to call them in 3 minutes. We'll see what we're doing. 5 minutes. That's good. That's a good time.
So let's say 11:30.
11:30. Well, let's see how it goes, okay?
Yeah.
So we're going to read across the top starting on number Ches.
Okay.
Okay, so I am recording this, and therefore it's on video. So what I do is I have a document camera. This camera shoots the page. Doesn't shoot me. It shoots the page. So I'm in the background reading, and I'm hopefully that other people that see the video will be able to follow along. That's the idea.
Okay.
So he said, "V'hini kasher tzamtzem atzmo." So we said that the Ein Sof and tzamtzem himself. Oz derek tzad echod minachalo ha'egol hazer. Do we do this already?
Yes, we did.
Where are we then? Do you know?
Yes,
Did we go all the way through this?
I think we're on Dalit Yud. Dalit and then the Yud.
Great.
We said introduce the top and the bottom. The Kav introduced the top and the bottom.
All right, number Yud then. V'derek HaKav. Yeah. So we said that's right. He introduced the concept. Let me see. I got this page not working out. Just a second.
Right.
I'll be very careful with my camera. It'll stop the recording if I don't handle it right. Okay, technical issues. Working on it. Okay, so he says the words are V'derek HaKav Zed Nimshach V'Yored Ha'or Ein Sof Hama'atzel El Toch HaChalo, to this empty place Ha'agol, which is round, ball-shaped, Hazeh Shuhu HaNe'etzel, which is the object. Let's say we were talking about this yesterday of the mind, that this is an object constantly that you have a start and you have an end. That's the Netzel. And no more. Just that. Now, what did he mean by...
Who else is there?
Yeah, I'm wondering what he meant by... Well, here, yeah, so maybe... So every time I learn this, it's like a different book every time. So maybe it is that one of the things that Rav does, he tells you something you don't know all the time. So he introduces something, and later he's going to come in and fill in the blank, like he shows you the Kli.
Okay.
Later on, he's going to fill it in. So let's see. I don't really know.
Maybe the Kiva Chaim will explain it.
Exactly. Well, right, the Tiv, right. So let's see what the Tiv says. Since it doesn't really reach a side, A Yoredim is Pasha Betsuras Kav, Dak, it's like a thermometer needle. Bem Seiso in the middle, just goes down the middle. So now you have sides and middles. Al Kain Lo Nispasha, the Or Bekol Chalal Egel, so therefore the light doesn't go everywhere. The Nishara Sharts Dadecha Igulim Rekonim, and so the sides where the needle of the thermometer is not going, it's empty.
Now, is that because the Or Ein Sof is on those sides?
No, it's empty.
Well, so why? No, the Or Ein Sof attached itself, so to speak, to all the round circle sides and left a point in the middle.
Right. Now the point in the middle is by itself. And the Ein Sof Baruch Hu.
Why are the sides of the circle empty?
It's what he's telling you. He's telling you that's what it is. It's just like the needle in the, I call it a needle. I don't know what it's called. The needle in the thermometer.
Okay.
That's all it is. And the rest of it is just glass. It's empty. And because really the subject of Kabbalah is the needle. It is that line is the subject of Kabbalah. But he says that
the original presentation was the Or Ein Sof came, filled everything. And then it contracted to the sides and made space in the center.
Yes.
So if it contracted to the sides, then the sides contain the Or Ein Sof.
They can, as if it's possible to say, they contain, the sides contain the emptiness created by the light of the Ein Sof, because it's a place that has no light. So he created a place that has no light. And maybe part of what your point is that you have this impinging, is that the word, or impinging light of the Ein Sof surrounding this empty space.
Yes.
And it's so powerful that it easily could take over that empty space.
Right.
So it seems to me that what he's saying is this Kav comes in and it maintains that differentiation between itself and the empty space. This is in some way important. Okay?
Okay, and then the Or Ein Sof kind of recedes to the background somehow.
The Or Ein Sof enters into the Kav enters in with this one line in order to maintain the whole situation of emptiness. How does that sound?
It doesn't sound. I'm telling you, here's why.
But that's what's happening.
Okay, because we have now a circle, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's nothing in it. Nothing.
There's nothing in it, but that circle was created by the contraction of the Or Ein Sof.
Right.
And when the Or Ein Sof contracted, it left a circle.
Right.
Now, that circle, within the center of that circle, the Kav comes and penetrates.
Yeah, and so we said yesterday that once it enters into the circle, it creates a concept of a top, like the entry place where things come in. And this is like physical man, like the top of our heads. So there's something beyond this comes into our heads, but he wants to say that just think about it in that anthropomorphical, whatever it is, anthropomorphic sense.
Yeah.
So
okay, let's go with that.
Let's go on. Yeah, let's go. So right, that's right. So he said, where does it start? Lo nishpata ha'or b'kol chalal egel, v'nishara shar tzadadei ha'igulim ha'igel reikonim. Because one thing is that he is going to develop this eagle, that all the olamos are existing. He's telling us that everything we see, like we're in the world of big. He's telling that the big is actually contained in the smallest amount of space, and that's the space between the Kav and everything else. Everything else is going to become filled with the olamos. So, so he says, Tzadi ha'egel reikonim me'ora ein sof, shehoyu bo b'dechida, that he was like that to begin with. V'kav ezecha v'nikra gam chut or ein sof. It's also called by the word chut or ein sof. Hu hamamutza asher mamshech min ha'ma'atzos. So this is the middle ground. that extends out from the ma'atzel. That is, whatever that force is, you want to put he's putting a label on it. It's calling the ma'atzel. Shemeir saviv l'chalo harek. So the empty hollow, but a kav comes in from the outside, or let's say the outside, we're looking at it that way, comes in from there. Mashpil el ha-ne'etzel, and it starts the pouring into the ne'etzel, which is the object. It's going somewhere. The hainu hachalo hapanu. Who's the netzel? He says. So the netzel is the empty space. So it's going to feed the empty space. So you have the concept, and this is really, I think, the beginning of the concept of male and female. The male is the fulfillment, and the female is the empty space. So this is a lot to do. I mean, like I told you, I study psychology, so it's a lot to do with relationships between males and females. Because it always goes like that. V'af shechuta ein sof hu gam came or ein sof. So even though it's also the ein sof, in other words, it's totally impossible to understand, but it is totally infinite. It's not just an aspect of a middle ground. But in other words, once, say, maybe it starts at the top of the hollow, and then it starts going into the hollow. So therefore it's moving. I think that's what he means. I think it's moving. It's going down.
Right.
But now it's in the different madrega and the mutza bein ma'atzel and the etzel, so there's some distance there between them. I think that's what he's saying. Shehu darga bechuser min ma'atzel. It's already a level down. It's not the ma'atzel, but in some way it has a distance. So ma'atzel atzmo u'memeir makiv sova l'chalo, and it comes in. Now he hasn't said it turns into a ball, but he says that it surrounds this chut at its beginning, starts becoming another circle inside of this empty space. Okay, what is the empty space? Once again, in your mind, you just picture an atom or something smaller than that, which is all energy, and he says that into that teeny-weeny place comes this line. And this line is going to start having madregos as it starts moving into the hollow. So let's see how that works. So let's see if it's not too much of a contradiction. And even so, we say that all of the tzilus is round, ball shape. Now, what is the
difference? We have a matzil,
we
have a netzel,
right,
and now we have an atzilus. How is that atzilus right?
We got an atzilus in there. Okay, so I missed that.
What?
Okay, I missed that. I missed the significance of that. Let me go over it again. Okay, so let's take, I've been using the concept, and when we say atzilus, since it means near, I've been using the concept of distancing. All of the distancing, he says, takes place is ball-shaped. Also ball-shaped. So as it starts out, the empty space, this pin, this dot of a pin, is round, and so around it it's going to have a ball shape or something like that, or inside of it, inside of the space, the empty, that's an empty space. Inside the inside wall of the empty space has a darga in it, and it's not the outside, it's the inside space, and that's going to be a ball by itself.
Okay, but what I'm saying, how does the atzilus relate to matzil and netzel?
It's the same word. The matzil is
the matzil is a doer. The
doer of distance. Right. There's a mind there that we're not fathoming, that is called a matzil. So and he gave a reason why the matzil is that he gave a reason. So he said to be called Chana Barachim and the Genuyim. Things like that. But that's a whole part of Kabbalah that has to be explored. We talked about it a little bit last time, the concept of the female waters, or Mayim Nukvin. I think that's what it's alluding to. Okay, but let's so what happened now? We're on number Yud Aleph? So he says, V'af al pi shekol ha'atzilus hu agol. Ha'or Ein Sof Makifa B'Shava B'Kol Tzadadav. Im Kol Zeh Osa HaMakom An Shenishar Davuk Bo, so that place which is closest, are really clinging onto the Ma'atzil, V'Nimshach Mimenu Rosh HaKav Hazeh, and that the Rosh of the Kav, or the very beginning of the Kav, came onto that place. Sham Nikra Rosh HaChatzilus V'Elyono. Now, once again, the word Tzilus, which means near to it, but it's a word drop right now. He's going to drop. He drops a lot of words in. So and you're right. We didn't really discuss it, Tzilus. So why is he using the word over here? So Nikra Rosh HaTzilus Elyono. It's the top of Tzilus and Elyono. And in other words, it's the top of a concept of distancing. Also, the same concept is the concept of Panemius. There's one inside of the next. In this case, it's on the outside, but that's also that kind of concept. V'kol masha nispasha v'nimshach lamata nikra tachtonius atzilus is going to be called the bottom part of this set of madrigos. V'al yedei kain, and through this nimsa sheyesh b'chinas mala mata batzilus. See, I didn't make it up. I just read it before. That's all. She'im lo kain. So if it wasn't like this, lo hoya b'china ma'alo ma'mata v'rosh v'raglayim b'chatzilus. None of these things would exist. So now you have some arichas here in the Tiv. So Tiv's going to go on and he's going to talk about it a little bit. Now, one of the chavrusas I learned about the same amount of time that I was learning with Rabbi Memran. I also got into a Kabbalist who's an astrologer. So he was really not a fan of the Tiv. So I say like just a caution is that he repeats it a lot. He says he's like Charles Dickens, who got paid by the word. So the Tiv was also wordy, which is, I think, good for a beginner. I thought it was great. But just saying that. So he says, L'chora, Kasha, the Kevin Shahor, Ein Sof, Makif Meir, Tocha Halo Agel. So it's now shining into the Agel. Im came Eich Shaykh Lichnos Bo Rosh V'Sof. So then how can you, it's shining from the outside, so how did you get a beginning and an end? So he said, "Hachalo shebesocho nimsoim kol holamos anat salam." It's actually the truth is that inside of this empty space, all of the olamos anat salam, which are dished out one for the next. If you wanted to look, say from an astronomical point of view, and you looked at the Earth, then you would see the Earth in relationship to the Sun. I think it's the fourth planet, and then there's a whole bunch of other planets. They're all moving around it in some kind of fashion, as, of course, the sun is moving through the constellations. All of that's going on, too. So he said, so now we see all the worlds that are developed here are all coming out. Hu agel. So since it's agel, and you're in the world of balls, it's going to be a ball, too. The eagle do shayach l'knosbo rosh v'sof. Now, this is kasha. He says in a ball, there is no beginning and there's no end. There's no top, no bottom. So because it's equal everywhere. So the answer is like this. So he says it's really all relative. So once again, Yaakov Cronenberg, who is the astrologer, used to say that, I don't know if he's right, or I don't know if he used a number in hyperbole, that in Einstein's theory of relativity, he uses the words relative all the time. Well, so does the Rav. The Kevin Sheyesh Makom Shabo Niknas Akav, because now you have a ball relative to a kav. Min bechutz al toicha ma'atzel, then it comes from outside, it comes into the egel. Sham huba bechinas arosh. That's how you get to this. You wouldn't know that there was any combinations or different kinds of ways that thing could work if everything was always the same. But once you bring in the opposite of it, and that's the whole thing of male and female too. So this is the highest possible level you could get in this world. Because it's really clinging to the light of the, it's right inside of the light of the Ein Sof. Now, for my thinking, he's also telling you the light of the Ein Sof is not a physical light. it's a light of negativity. It's a light of non-light. It's also very interesting. He created. Okay, so anyway, Kol shechakav mispashiv yored klape mata el makom asiyu. Came mismayat oro. Its light gets less because it's getting further away. I don't know how the thermometer works, but not exactly like that. Vovish called bechinas hamakabelas ma'ashefa. So bechina hamakabelas ma'ashefa, that any aspect that receives from this shefach a yotzim b'toch rosh hakav, that comes out of the rosh hakav, shuhu or godol ma'od, is a tremendously powerful light there. Like I said, it's really the word should be non-light, but anyway, he says light there. He nikra rosh, that's the head. The fi shesham hu ha'or ha'yoser godol, because this is the place where the greater light is found. Called olamos shene'etzlu b'sochachala, and this is the place where all of the olamos, let's go back with the bishasham hu ha'or ha'yoser gadol, because that's the place with a greater amount of light. Should be called the olamos that you find in any creation that comes out of that. Shene'etzlu b'tochachala, that's later going to come along. Now this is. I'm just thinking. I'm always thinking ahead on stuff like this. Anyway, Velo called bechinach hamakabelet machashefet betoch hachalo. So let me say it. Velo called a bechinach hamakabelet machashefet hayotze b'siyum makav, that comes out at the end of that kav. He nikras sof. That's going to be an end. Visha shama or mamuet, because there is where you're going to see the least amount of light within the challah. So because of this thread now that is entered into this challah, so you see that the light gets diminished as it becomes distance from the light from the Ein Sof itself. Because it depends on how close or how far away you are to where the kav started, which is mechuber l'or Ein Sof. Ad sof bir ad kan bir harav inyan chut Ein Sof. Did you have anything you want to say on that?
No. All of this makes sense. Is that the kav introduced the highest intensity light, and the end of it is the lowest intensity light.
Right.
There's a rosh and a sof.
Right. Because this is he wants to emphasize this. It comes into the chalal in the way of a straight line, b'tzuras kav melamala lamata. So now he wants to say, what about this kav? When it spreads, since it's in a system which is called Haigulim, it's mispashet as Haigulim also. This is also in Shaar Rishon on the base. The Eitz Chaim is organized a little different than the Otzrot Chaim. They're all of the Haigulim are one inside the next, the concentric circles. And he says, Galdi B'tzolim, it's like the peels of an onion, and Makifim Zeh that surround each other. The Handish only Igel B'toch Igel, they're now standing one ball inside of the next. But there's also something else here. There's this kav which goes on a straight line, over the top down to the bottom. This is the way that all things that have to do with the concept of distance, which later on he's talking about, he hasn't explained really olamos or spheros. This in the concept of Haigulim, this is an important idea, but we haven't got the other half of it yet. The way that it goes in the Olam Haigulim is that everything goes that the more chitzoni is going to be the higher light. That's going to be the inside of a series of concentric circles. He has a picture of it in this chapter. Now the level, which is at the very bottom, it's going to be the most benimi part beyoser. And he says it's keduma, it's similar. So he says he has a tzir l'kolom. Come on. Okay, now we're going a little bit deeper. So he said, "V'hina or chazecha mispasha b'toch hachala chazel necholok l'shnei bechinos." One of them is this. All the lights in this challah, so it has to be, in the Olam Haigulim, everything will be igul. So the light that came in, or Ein Sof, because the light, what happens is, as the light is coming down, it's who mispashet b'chalo b'shnei derachim. It spreads into the hollow in two different ways. Kinei kavar nizbar shahor chazeh hu b'tzuras kav shetekilo so ki b'rosh achalo b'nimsha v'yarded ad korov the sof achalo. It doesn't go all the way through. Right. I think we discussed that from last time. And the more that it's mispashet, it's like I say, he repeats himself, so he explains it again. This is called straight line. But at the same time, there's also a spread that goes in the way of balls. So it actually does spread out into the sides, but it spreads out to the side, but so it's eagle. Svivos dafados achalo mebifnim. V'zos naase eagle rishon. For this one, it becomes the first eagle. That's what we said in the first place. But Hashem nimshach or mispash v'yored the sefes al toch achalo. It goes further into the center of the original ball. Lifnim min the eagle rishon. Azan naase sham eagle sheni. V'shuv yored the or mispashet yotze the matav v'naase besocho eagle shlishi v'kein cholek akav v'yored the mispashet v'naase eagulim nosafim elu toch elu. Now he has we'll see the drawing. I guess I don't know where the drawing is. I think it's not that close.
I mean, I can. It's like a slinky. It's little circles and another circle. Each circle is smaller than the one above it.
Okay, that's it. So he said, "Ad shenishna b'chav esrim igulam," until you have a completion of the 10 igulam. I'm sorry. Shehem eser spheros, which later we're going to talk about it. They're going to call them to eser spheros. Kamashal ha-galdi abitzolim, like he says it again, and Nizkar, the Rav said that also. V'hukrach akav hispasha b'deber shel Haigulim. So it has to be that as it is in the world of Haigulim, it has to be mispasha that way. Now, this is also a contradiction for our world. It's really something to be thought about, is what's going on in our world, because we have the same forces going on in our world. But it's not so simple as we're seeing it now. The Kevin Shahachalo shall Atzimsum Muchan the Kabbalah Shefa, so that which is prepared like a vessel to receive the Shefa. He made it, the Ma'atzel did it, as we explained how he did that, because he made an egg wolf around this time. So therefore it has to be eagle has to be like that too. That's the way the nature of this vacuum, or this, I call it vacuum. That's what he says. That's the metaphor. Okay, let's keep trying. We're still okay here. Okay.
So I get it. So the kav that came in and made an up and a bottom, and from the kav it went straight, but it also created igulim in the chalal, and there's an eagle on top and an eagle on the bottom, and the top has the highest intensity light, and the bottom has the lowest intensity light, and they're like concentric circles.
Right. It has to go in this system. It's made out of what I'm trying to figure a word, but anyway, it's made out of igulim. Let's go on. Number Yud Gimel. Or Spheris HaKeser, who eagle echot. So now we're going to talk about the names of the spherum, the spheros. Besocho eagle acher, then there's another inside of that, who's Spheris HaChochma. Vein al derek zer ad tishlom eser igulim shehem eser Spheris the arich. Until we understand that this is the arich is another word for Eric Anpin. He's not going to talk about Eric Anpin so much here. Let me see why he said that. So he has some arichos on this. So he says, Hine yesh devar behektem, ki yeshnam chamisha partsufim klaliyim. Shehem Eric Anpin. Now, once we went through this partsuf is a system of 10 spheros. So for the purpose.
Is there a difference between partsufim and spheros?
Yes, the spheros. I mean, the way that he uses it, the spheros compose the partsuf. So the partsuf is composed of 10 spheros, and each one of those.
But there are 10 partsufim.
There are 5 partsufim, 5 basic partsufim. No, then you get into Rishash. Rishash sees partsufim. He shows you that in fact this concept is going all the time everywhere. But that's it. But just for the sake of this, there's a partsuf. There's 5 of them, and these are the names of the 5. He says the first, and yes. Wait a minute. I used to say I learned this Chavruta named Mordechai Shmalu that I learned with. He used to say 5 will get you 10. So in the 5 parsufim, you can make the 5 parsufim into 10 too. Or each one of them has 10 within it. All things like that. But we're counting, at this point, we're counting at 5. There's Eric Anpin is the Kesser. There's Abba is Chochma, Ima is Bina. Zer Anpin is actually composed of 6 spheros. Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. And the Nukta Zer Anpin, which is known Malchus. Now, the whole thing about the Nukta Zer Anpin, a very mysterious kind of concept there, which is the most important of all because the Nukta is Malchus, and Malchus is Mashpia to us. So that's very important. So he says, these 5
lines probably are very, very important.
Okay, what do you want to say?
I want to get them. I want to get it. There are 5 partsufim. Now, partsuf means the face, but maybe it means something different here. Erech Anpin, which is the Kesser, that's the top sphera. So Erech Anpin is the top sphera.
Okay, always. It's the Kesser.
Is that right?
It's the Kesser.
Right. But isn't that the top sphera?
Well, the Kesser is a little bit complicated, but it's in other places. But let's just go with what he said. It's a top sphere, yeah. It's a crown.
Abba, Chachma, Bina, Das are the top 3, actually.
That's right.
Abba is Chachma, Ima is Bina, and Zer Anpin, there's no Das in here. Chachma,
right,
Bina,
that's right.
Das.
Right, that's right. There's no Das. And in Kabbalistic, they call it Kachav. Kachav.
So, there is Arachad Bet Kesser. Abba is a parsif, that's Chachma. Ima is a parsif, that's correlated to Bina. And then Ze'er Anpin are all the other ones. Ze'er Anpin contains Chesed, Gvurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod.
Right.
So Ze'er Anpin contains all the 7 lower spheros.
Right. Now,
and the upper spheros are called Erech Anpin.
This is not the last time he's going to mention this.
The Nukva, the Ze'er Anpin, is Malchus, which is the final one.
Yeah.
So Erech Anpin, Ze'er Anpin, and Nukva, the Ze'er Anpin.
Right.
Okay.
So he said, "V'kol ha'partzufim aladuchu remozim b'shem Havaya." So he wants to tell you how it is that the name Havaya, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, actually is 4 letters, but it's actually 5 partzufim. Bofen shekutzu shel Yud, because the tip of the Yud on the right corner, who remez the Rich, because he would say that the Kesser is not completely manifest in Erech Anpin. There's something beyond the parts of Erech Anpin. So the Kesser part of Erech Anpin is the very top part of that letter. V'os Yud Atzmo merames la'Abba. The Os K Rishonim merames la'Ima, and the Os Vav is a 6, right? And then there are 6 different spheros in Ze'er Anpin. Merames the Ze'er Anpin Shuhu Haben, who is the son. The Os Hey Achronim meremezes Lanuk, the Zer Anpin Shi Habas, which is the Bas. So he's teaching you a little bit, or introducing you, and like I tell you, he will repeat it. The Rav will repeat it in detail. So you'll know this. The called parts of Me'edach HaChamisha Partsufim, every one of the Partsufim, Kolu Me'eses Spheros, every Partsuf has 10 Spheros. V'Hashem Zecha B'Hem Nekroim B'Shem Partsuf, and that's the reason why they're called a Partsuf. So that's why my definition, you said Partsuf means face. So, but he doesn't use it that way. He says that it's really a system of 10 Spheros. And the 10 Spheros are mismayat the light. That's what it does. That's what the 10 Spheros do. Each one of them is a different path to bring it to Malchus. So that's part.
One second.
Yeah.
All parts of Chamisha Partsufim, Kol Me'esers, no. That there are 5 Partsufim. Every Partsuf has 10 Spheros?
Exactly. So let's say like the parts of Kesser, or parts of Eric Anpin. There's going to be a Kesser of Eric Anpin, and there's going to be a Malchus of Eric Anpin. There's going to be a Kesser of Abba and a Malchus of Abba, just like that. 1 to 10. And each one.
So every Partsuf has 10 Spheros?
Yes. That's a fact. So here he's laying out some basic facts that you need to know as you go along.
Okay, so Partsuf Orach Anpin Yesh Basar Haigulim V'Shem Kesher Pamir. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well, should we stop here, Bobby, and I'm going to review this?
It's up to you. We do have the rest of this paragraph, but it's like the beginning of that. We could go to this paragraph.
I'm getting all these unexpected calls that they're expecting to be on because they didn't know about this.
When I learned with Rabbi Memron,
okay, let's go a little bit more. All these people want me; they can wait a little. Okay.
It's nice to be wanted. Nobody wants me, but my mother's not around anymore. She still loves me. Okay, so it's key. Esses spheres mahavin shir kuma u parts of shalom. Now, this is what he means. It's really like the whole parts of a man, with the kesed being the top of the head, and then chochmah being the 2 sides of the head. You could go through the whole body, which he will do. Boven parts of Eric yesh b'chob asara igulim elu toch elu. But my mistake, he's talking about igulim, not yosher. Shem keser chochmah bina chesed gevurah teferes netzach hod yisod umalchus of keser. V'chein parts of Abba yesh b'chob asara igulim elu b'toch elu. V'chein parts of Ima yesh bo asara igulim. V'af parts of Zer Anpin mischalek le'asara igulim. Also, everything is divided like that. Afal pi shachazah yatze ben sheish spheros belvad. So he's only 6 spheros. Wait a minute. V'chein benuk yesh 10 spheros zecha b'toch zeh afal pi shelo yatze el neguda achas. So he says, how does that work? V'neg hashecha b'chut or ein sof yored al toch hachalal. It's always like that. So they're going to be 10 igulim inside of Kesser. To say that his pasha, you want to stop now, Jimmy? You're distracted?
Probably best, Bobby, because I'm going.
Yeah. Right. So we'll come back. I don't know, whenever you want to learn again. My schedule changed today because I'm still working. So, but mostly I come back around 9 or 10. And I have free time usually.
So I'm in the kollel till 1:30.
Oh, okay.
I'm in the yeshiva in the morning. Tomorrow it's 3:30. I've got a doctor's appointment. You know what I'll do? Let's do the Sunday, Friday. This is Yom Tov coming up, and everything's gonna be very complicated scheduling.
That's right.
On Friday's actually out because Friday's Rosh Hashanah.
All right. Yeah, Friday's Rosh Hashanah, right?
But before Rosh Hashanah, I want to learn one more time. I'll call you. Is that okay if I call you?
Sure. We can. I have a chavrusa till 7:45 in the morning. So
okay, I'll only call you in the afternoon because I'm running to 1:30.
Okay, we'll see what we can get together. Okay, call too. Okay. All the best.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much, Bob.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you.